Today's date is April 3rd, 2012. My name is Paul Robards, Library Director at Roberts Memorial Library at Middle Georgia College. I will be speaking today with Major Vivian Yeisley, Jr. from Warner Robins, Georgia, about his experiences in the Vietnam War. Major Yeisley, you joined the military in 1962 and served until you retired in 1992 with the exception of a 4-year break. The questions I will ask you today are about the 2 tours of duty you served in Southeast Asia. Question 1. What branch of the military did you serve in?
I was in the United States Army.
Why did you join?
That's actually a long story. What it was basically, I was bored at school, getting in trouble, and I was given the alternative of going in the Army, and I took it.
How old were you when you joined the military?
I joined the United States Army the day I was 17 years old. I took all my tests and everything when I was 16. They didn't like that.
What was your hometown when you joined?
I lived in Hialeah, Florida.
Where did you go to basic?
Fort Gordon, Georgia.
Where did you attend advanced training?
Fort Gordon, Georgia.
What aspects of your training did you use in Vietnam?
Probably all of it. Having joined the Army in 1962, believe it or not, in basic training I went through with the M1 rifle. And when I went to AIT, which was 3 months later, I actually went with the M14. And then in Vietnam I had the M16. So I've had just about all the weapons there.
Did the military change you in any way?
Yeah, I grew up real quick.
What was your job description or occupation code?
I was 11 Bravo, which is infantryman.
What medals or citations did you receive for serving in Vietnam?
Wow. That's actually kind of hard to say. Republic of Vietnam campaign medals, Vietnam service medals, National Defense Service medals, meritorious service ribbons. That just basically for being there.
Did you volunteer to go to Vietnam?
No. Although my philosophy is I would not volunteer, but when I was asked to go, I went without an objection.
How did you feel when you learned you were going?
Kind of a chance to put in practice what I've been learning.
Did your feelings about going to war differ from that of your family?
I don't think so. I was married at the time. I had a son, and it was just, that was part of my job. It was part of the job in the military.
And what regions, towns, or villages did you serve in Southeast Asia?
The first tour of duty I was stationed in Cu Chi, Vietnam, which is just northwest of Saigon. And the second time I was with the 101st. And the truth of the matter is it's been so long, I'm not sure where that was. I know it was what they called Eagle Beach in that area.
What was your opinion about the Vietnamese people when you first arrived in Vietnam, and did your opinion about them change over time?
The Vietnamese people were just like any other people. They had their wants and their needs and their desires, and it was different than mine, but, food, family, health, and then a war going on. Did it change? Towards the Vietnamese military, yes. I served on my second tour as an advisor to a Vietnamese Ranger Battalion. And I was very disappointed in them because I based what I thought they should be doing on my values, not their values.
Describe your living conditions, housing, and food in Vietnam.
Well, there was two distinct types. When I was not actually out in the field, we had wooden frame houses, wooden frame hooches, screens. There were no windows. It was adequate. I mean, it beat a tent, beat living in a foxhole. We had electricity. We had showers in the separate building, toilets in a separate building. And then once you were in the field, you were in the field. There was no quarters. There was a time I spent 30 days in the field, never changed clothes. And it was just the way it was.
What did you do for entertainment?
We had the officers club. In fact, I was stationed right next to it, so I could literally go over there anytime I wanted. And it happened to be near a mobile army surgical hospital. Believe it or not, an actual MASH unit. And to this day, when I watch MASH on television, it reminds me so much of the doctors, nurses, and the situations in Vietnam that is absolutely amazing.
What was the most humorous event you witnessed or that happened to you?
God, I don't know. It's humorous. I don't know of anything that happened that I would call humorous. There was some lighter situations, and believe it or not, being in the officer club and the mortars start falling and you take your drink, you go down into the bunker and you continue the party.
Excuse me. Could you share your memories of what it was like to fly in helicopters and fixed-wing aircraft during the war?
Well, I flew in helicopters quite a bit because I was with the Long Range Reconnaissance Patrol and also as the intelligence for the division, the 25th Infantry Division. And I volunteered quite often to do forward air controlling. And the biggest thing I can remember about flying in a helicopter is watching the bullets come at you. And they look like little green balls coming up. Fortunately, they all missed. But it's a situation where to this day, when I hear a helicopter, it takes me back.
Describe the most memorable event that happened when you were in Vietnam.
I was over there for New Year's, and as the commander, I decided to let my officers and enlisted men go, and I performed the duties the night of New Year's. And about 1 o'clock in the morning, 1:30 in the morning, some people came to me that one of my soldiers who'd had a little bit too much to drink was firing his M16 at another hooch because he was upset with it. And I had to go there and ask him to give me the ammunition and the weapon. And that was the most memorable. And he did.
Describe the bravest action, either friend or enemy, that you witnessed while serving in Vietnam.
God, it was all brave. I mean, just being over there doing your job. that's basically it. I mean, it's not, it gets to the point where it's not something special because it happens every day.
Could you please tell me what happened during your first encounter with the enemy and how you reacted to it?
Well, my first tour over there, I was in the Long Range Reconnaissance Patrol. And the purpose of the Reconnaissance Patrol is to not be seen. And we got seen. And we had a running gun battle till we got to the DZ where they could pick us up, because there was only 5 of us. And it was about a squad, 7 or 8 people. And we managed to make it. And all of our equipment and all of our personnel were okay. And we actually did. The basic thing is we failed. We were seen when we shouldn't have been. We learned.
Could you please tell me about the personal weapon you took with you to Vietnam and why you carried it?
I took a Walter 38 pistol, automatic, and it was only for self-protection. I believe now the whole situation's changed and you can't do that anymore. But I actually carried it with me in my carry-on luggage on the airplane and told the captain I had it. And he said, okay, just keep it in a briefcase. Don't show it to anybody. I said, okay. We got on, flew over there, and I had it. And whenever I went out, I was always armed. I always had a weapon with me, whether it was my military weapon or my private weapon.
Evaluate the North Vietnamese overall fighting ability. What were their strengths and weaknesses?
Well, the strength was they fought an insurgent war. I mean, they picked and chose when they wanted to fight, who they wanted to fight, where they wanted to fight. I saw many times on the Long Range Reconnaissance Patrol that there was huge elements out there, but they would operate independently, and we couldn't find them. And we'd tell where they were, and by the time they got this U.S. Army battalion or whatever coming in with the noise from the helicopters and the tanks and everything like that, they were just gone. So they fought a good insurgent war.
What is your evaluation of the South Vietnamese fighting units and their military and civilian leaders?
Their leaders were pretty much political. In other words, you got to be a lieutenant because you knew somebody, not because of what you knew. As you went up in rank, it was even more so. They had a whole different set of values than we did. I did not particularly care for them, but for them, they were just not quite effective, and it proved itself out to be not effective.
What is your evaluation of American military leadership during the Vietnam War and of your immediate commanders in the field?
The military leadership was excellent. Once in a while you'd find one that wasn't quite worth what he should be, but the vast majority of leaders were outstanding.
In hindsight, what do you believe was the reason for the war?
I think it was political. And I want to use the word political, but it's a lot of economics were involved in it. Whether they affected me, I don't think so. Whether they affected big business, I think so. And I think that's why it was. It was so that the big guys could keep making money.
How do you feel about your military service in Vietnam when you left the country?
I was completely satisfied that I had done a good job. And I was the only one I had to please.
Did you ever feel that the American public did not support you as a veteran of the Vietnam War?
I honest to God didn't care, because they weren't over there, they didn't know what was happening, and they didn't have the obligation that a military person had.
Do you believe that the Vietnam War veterans encountered discrimination when they returned home from the war?
I can't say for everybody. I had none. There was no discrimination whatsoever. The one or two times that I'd meet somebody that, oh, you're a Vietnam vet, and did you kill babies and stuff like that, my only comment was, you ought to be thanking me, because by my being there, you didn't have to go.
Have your views about the war changed at all over the years?
No. No.
Did going to war change you in any way?
I'm sure it did. I'm not sure how it did. Maybe give me a little realization that some of my priorities probably weren't as high as important as I thought they were, and some other ones probably were a little more important than I thought they were. You know, that kind of thing. What, pinpoint something? I'm not sure I could pinpoint something.
Would you repeat this experience if you could do it over again?
If my country called for it, I would.
Is there anything we haven't brought up that you would like to share about your Vietnam War experience?
Only that if you have not experienced the situation, you cannot understand. And I say that because the majority of the time in combat is boring. It's, 15 minutes of hell and 3 days of sitting around wondering when the next 15 minutes are coming. That's it.
Thank you for your time.
Okay.
Thank you for your service.
All right.